birthday. Wish you all the best alongside your wife Portia as well. But please make sure that you tune in, because we also have cash out. As a reminder, let's tell you that you can use the short code *439#. And with *439#, you have to choose option 2. So you round it up by making sure that when you choose option 2, which is TV3, you also increase the number of stakes that you have and have some great conversations thereof. So please. So this morning we'll be talking about what transpired between the NDC and a number of the stakeholders also in the Electoral Commission on Friday. And it's about a number of discrepancies being or among transfer of people's names to other polling stations without their consent, among also names that have found themselves in other places of the register or from other polling stations, even from other regions to different constituencies without the consent of the individuals who expect that their votes will be in their polling station register, which currently is not the case. The Electoral Commission says, well, that's just normal, and so we'll be dealing with that. Does that put you in a position to say that the Electoral Commission really is dealing with this fairly, and so gives you that trust for the Electoral Commission? We just oppose that with what the latest Afrobarometer numbers are saying about trust by citizenry for the Electoral Commission. And the second part, is it now time for the President as well as the Vice President to declare a national emergency on the state of our river bodies, which have been polluted by excessive Galamsey? Even though earlier on we're told that the Presidency said he will put his office on the line, and so far it looks like the concerns are that the President has just not been having a certain clampdown on hand on this. So I'm just introduce Richard Jemfi. Good morning to you, Richard Jemfi. First time I'm interacting with you. Good morning to you, and thank you for joining us this morning. I'm told that you're part of the DMB 2024 It Is Possible campaign. Absolutely. Great. Thank you for joining us. Yeah. Edwidge Tamaklo is a regular, also legal practitioner. Thank you for joining us, Edwidge Tamaklo. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you, and good morning to Richard here. Okay. In the next few minutes, we'll be joined by Yabwabian Samoa. Is also a legal practitioner as well, and then is with the Movement for Change, and then governance expert Professor Bafo Ajimandria also will be joining us from the stream, and we'll have some great conversations on this. But let's take you through a number of the highlights of what so far has been found out. Personally, I've had a number of screenshots also sent to me by individual voters who said that when they did the electronic check-in, their names were not at the polling station. Subsequently, they went to the office of the EC, and the responses thereof were not forthcoming. And subsequently, we know that period is over. The Electoral Commission will have to do something about it, but we'll then also take you through a number of them as well. But let's go to the individual screenshots before we get to what the concerns are. So at least we know that, for example, you will find that somebody will have the name registered in one constituency, and then you'll find it in some other places. So, for example, somebody sent me a number of screenshots as well. So, registered in one constituency in Accra, and when the person did the check-in with that same, yes. So this is the person, and then when the person did the checks, what came out subsequently from the USD DAO number will be the next one. So this is the response the person got. So it means that you input your voter ID, and the voter ID specifically is saying that the person's polling station and the name reflects this. So I mean, basically that's it. And a number of people also have raised concerns across that. The Electoral Commission said that there's nothing wrong with that. So it means that the person will have to go to New York, for example, to go and vote. I mean, how? How's that possible? The person's in Accra. You go to New York to go and vote. Bepoase. So these are some of the things. And then also, so let's go to the main document that was submitted by the NDC also to take a look at some of the discrepancies that have been noticed, so to speak? The pictures, let's go to the pictures. So the number of duplicates that have been noticed in some of the constituencies, Utusenya, for example, we discussed this, but also noticed in some areas in northern Ghana. And so people are finding themselves in this situation. The Electoral Commission says everything is cool, but should that be the case? Mr. Tamaklo, the Electoral Commission says don't worry. That's why you have to detect that.
Okay. So once again, good morning to our cherished viewers who have made a firm commitment to be with us. But you see, before I proceed, I just want to read a screenshot. And this screenshot is dated 4th May 2016. It reads, the current depreciation...
Where are you reading it from?
No, it's a Facebook. You know, I'm just reading something. The current depreciation of the Ghana cedi against the US dollar is because of bad leadership. We should not be where we are today to buy dollars for 3.72. Vote for change.
How is this relevant to the conversation?
No, I just wanted to read and make the point that, for the record, the Ghana cedi today is trading at 16.6 Ghana cedis. It must be as a result of bad leadership. But that said, the National Democratic Congress, the party that I belong to, has reason, as it were, to write to the electoral management body, the Electoral Commission of Ghana, requesting an urgent audit of the voters' register. Now, we make this prayer within the constitutional spirit of probity, accountability, and transparency. One would expect that an electoral commission that is open to transparency would agree to these audits. In any case, the only essence of an audit is to ensure that at the end of the day, the election will be free and fair. Now, you would expect that reason will prevail. But in a very bizarre circumstance, the Electoral Commission of Ghana has flatly rejected this call for an audit.
Is it not because it is independent?
The independence of the Electoral Commission is not independent from transparency. It's not independent from probity. It's not independent from ensuring that the right thing is done. Why do we think that the right thing must be done? It's the most important question. As we speak, through the NDC's own independent verification of the entire register, we have found certain disturbing, instances that clearly can be used to manipulate the 2024 election. And when I say manipulate, I am saying that leading members of the MPP have made a point that they have 2 million ways of winning an election. Obviously not to appeal to the conscience of people, because clearly the record of the government is terrible. And so, for them, there are 2 million ways. Now, what have been the instances? You have a situation where, for instance, an MPP parliamentary candidate, say, I win in the Western North region, is able to transfer his votes from Ayawaso Central, outside the transfer window. So the question you ask yourself is, how many more people has Jane Mensah and her Electoral Commission officers transferred outside the transfer window? Disturbing. 2, there had been evidence that an Electoral Commission officer has been able to transfer the vote of over 25 people from Tamale to Pusiga. In fact, the Electoral Commission itself having established a prima facie case, decided to suspend that officer. Now, we are asking a simple question. How widespread is this illegal transfer? Transfers of persons who are not aware that they have been transferred. Now, Roland, do you know the most disturbing and scary part of this transfer? If you have a situation where the Electoral Commission targets 18,000 polling stations and decide to do 25 transfer, it brings into total 450,000 votes that would have been transferred. Even for presidential election, that alone can mess things up. That alone can change parliamentary election outcome. The Electoral Commission has not denied these infractions. Now, we have made a point, and I hereby submit, that the Electoral Commission currently is a crime scene.
You make those conclusions because the Electoral Commission, when you presented the petition, actually, even when you made the first announcement, did say that it's good that these concerns or discrepancies are being noticed, because that's why they do exhibition and so expect that stakeholders like you will go through. That's a response.
You see, when the system is compromised, you audit it. You don't applaud stakeholders. What it means is that the system you are handling can be abused. And this is one veritable evidence of that abuse. I'll tell you something. In 2012, the MPP wrote to the then Electoral Commission chairperson, Dr. Kwadwo Afari-Gyan, demanding an audit of the register. That Electoral Commission, headed by Kwadwo Afari-Gyan, doctor, recognizing the importance of an audit, agreed to it. In fact, I'll show you a letter where in 2017 April, the Kenyan, they have an independent electoral commission, just as we do here. The Kenyan, the Kenyan scenario in 2017, they appointed this company called KPMG to audit the Kenyan voters register.
Is that what you're calling for?
Absolutely. Look, and if you look at the terms of engagement of KPMG in Kenya, I just want to read the letter appointing. So, first of all, you see, KPMG. It says, quote, KPMG has been engaged by the Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission to audit the register of voters as required. Now, to do one thing, verifying the accuracy of the register. How can you go into an election where you cannot vouch for the accuracy of the register? 2, recommending mechanisms of enhancing the accuracy of the register and updating the register. This is 4th April 2017. This is an electoral commission that is open to ensure transparency. What the NDC is simply calling is that if you have nothing to hide, open yourself up for an audit.
In what form is an audit going to be undertaken per what your petition says or what you're suggesting?
You see, the audit...
Because the Electoral Commission has done a compilation.
Yes.
It is going to display it.
Sure.
Display has been done. It says go and check your names. And it's the reason or the rationale for that display is to make sure that if you find anything untoward, you then, with recourse to law, inform the Electoral Commission.
Good. Yes, so that is why we have independently done that assessment. And we have come to the point where we say that the register as now, constituted now, okay, has all these veritable discrepancies. And to the extent that these discrepancies have even been confirmed by you yourself, the only way to clean it up is to ensure an independent audit of it. And when we call for an independent audit, we want an audit that will have the MPP, the PNC, all principal stakeholders involved. Okay. And the whole idea is to ensure that the register that we'll be using for the election will be fit for purpose. Now, you see, what has even heightened our great concern, I'll conclude on this. what has heightened our concern is that you have a situation where for the first time since 1992, a non-MPP IT expert, the person who represented Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo at the Electoral Commission Regional Coalition Center in Bono region, is now a commissioner in the EC, an IT person. And no, in fact, in the 2020 election, the Electoral Commission introduced the Regional Coalition Center. The person who represented Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Dr. Apiahene, had been appointed by Akufo-Addo now onto the commission. And these things that we are uncovering are external IT manipulations of the register. And you say we should not be worried. You say we should not call for an independent audit. And like I pointed out earlier, if you have nothing to hide, permit the audit.
All right,
and this audit can be done within 2 weeks. Early enough.
Well,
for the December
Let me just introduce a governance expert and Professor Bafo Ajimandui. I remember I met him years ago in Liberia. There was a shooting incident particularly, and he went to the UN radio at the time in Montserrado, and that's where we have the capital, Monrovia. I tried to put in some truths to that, working for the UN at the time. Good morning to you, Professor Bafo Ajimandui. Thank you for joining our stream.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Now, Richard, is it something that also the MPP has noticed and so is on board with this when it comes to the concerns being raised?
Thank you, Roland. And before I proceed, I would like to wish your cherished viewers a very good morning. And also today as an MPP is a strong representation for roadmap to possibilities. Why do I mean? What do I say this? His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, today will file his nomination with the running mate to lead this country come 2025. And as MPP, we are highly elevated and expectant that come 2025, January 7, the next president of the Republic of Ghana will be His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. When it comes to matters relating to the EC, personally, I think that everybody has the right to seek fairness. So, in this matter, the NDC has every right to ask questions pertaining to their electoral fortunes. For us as MPP, we wouldn't be hypocritical when it comes to these matters. Because just recently, when the EC decided to, the initial processes of registration, where they decided that all people who are willing to register should go to their district offices, some of our leading members criticized this decision. Why were we criticizing this decision? Personally, I'm from Ashanti region, and I was just trying to figure out how somebody in Sechafran Plains in Ashanti region, you know, some people will have to travel like 4 a.m. in the morning, get on canoes to cross rivers, and then take another transportation to the district capital to register. And so we were raising concerns that why should you subject an innocent civilian just to have the ability to perform their duty right? Why do you subject them to such tedious, task? From the rural enclave, take a canoe all the way to the district capital before they can get registered. We raised these questions. EC did whatever they wanted to do. What we did as a party was to mobilize and aid and encourage as many as we can to go and register. Now, if I want to quote what our former president, John Dramani Mahama, said in 2016, and if you indulge me, I'll read it to you. Because my brother Tamaklo just said something that I thought you draw his attention. He described the Electoral Commission as a crime scene. And it is a heavy statement. It's an indictment on the integrity of the Electoral Commission. And I think it is quite rather unfortunate for us to sit at such a top platform for this statement to be made. Roland, just recently, only 2016, this is the same Electoral Commissioner that the former president advocated and in fact proclaimed that it is one of the best in the globe. It is the same Electoral Commission.
No.
So what happened?
Mr. Deji, please allow me to make
I didn't. So if you allow me, I will read the quote. And this was during your campaign launch in Cape Coast, 2016. He says, the use of accusations, including unprintable insults, held at the person of the EC chair has become normal. This is unacceptable. But as students of politics, we can see the strategy behind it, vilify the credibility of the referee in the eyes of the public when you can tell you are losing the match. This creates a platform where when you lose, you can discredit and contest the outcome of the match. This is the underlying force for the whining that has taken place against the EC. So I am not surprised because, like I said in my earlier submission, that everybody has the right to, for fairness. But it becomes quite worrying. And when you are subjecting the same EC, the referee, to name calling, to insult, gross insubordination towards...
Mr. Jemfi, just about a week or two or three ago, there was an arrest of an individual who was in possession of a bona fide facility or equipment that is used in collecting biometric data of individuals who want to vote in Ghana. This person was found on the streets in possession of that equipment that belongs not only to the Republic of Ghana, but Ghana's Electoral Commission. Before then, incessant complaints had been made that a number of facilities that were used in collecting biometric data had gotten missing. The Electoral Commission first denied. Secondly, when verifiable evidence was provided, then he decided to succumb to that and then say that indeed that is acceptable, and so decided that it would take action. No action was forthcoming. And so if we can have an equipment that's supposed to be secure, that will not be subject to any manipulation in the hands of people who are tiptoeing, shouldn't we be worried? Let's say, for example.
I think we should.
Okay.
So
why do you respond that way?
I don't intend to be the spokesperson for the EC. Obviously, I have great interest in the fortunes of my party. And there are anomalies. Just, I think, 2nd September, just last week, one of the commissioners for EC, Dr. Asari, he addressed the general public. And in fact, I think the concerns raised for this specific was the issues raised by the NDC at Ejumako Enyanesiam constituency, where there were some anomalies. But again, why did we do the exhibition?
I don't understand you.
Why did the EC organize the exhibition? It was to prune out these anomalies. And the EC, the best EC in the globe, as proclaimed by the former president, has exhibited the register for us to check whether they are actually fit for purpose. These anomalies have been found out. That is the reason, that is the sole purpose of the exhibit. So if you have raised concern, Dr. Asari here is saying that, yes, they figured out the anomalies that had been established by the concerned parties. What they can promise us is that, because what they exhibited was provisional, what they can assure us is that we all as political parties will be provided...
Did the MPP notice anything wrong in same vein or replication as the other parties have?
Well, for us, there are some few anomalies.
I asked a specific question. Did you notice? It's a very direct question.
I am saying that even if there are anomalies, which we have, the EC has assured us that this is just a provisional list.
Okay.
And before the final list comes out, it will be available in time for every political party to actually do their self-audit. So I'm not seeing the grand scheme to manipulate this election. And let's reiterate what John Mahama said, that if you know within yourself that in fact you are going to lose, this is the strategy, conscientizing your followers, your party people, that look, if we go and lose this election, it is because the EC manipulated for MPP. And I think it is rather unfortunate, especially for my brother to describe the Electoral Commission as a crime scene.
Professor Bafa-Adjumandua, I know that you have experienced everything, managing a civil society organization, becoming a part of the international body that has monitored all the indiscriminate flouting of rules in any part of Africa and the world when it comes to elections. Now, do you think there were tail signs already available for us to come to this point? For example, appointments to the Electoral Commission, facilities getting missing by way of the biometric machines, etc. And then also these discrepancies that have been noticed that could raise questions about the objectiveness, the free and fairness of this election, and then also this organization by the independent body.
Well, first of all, let me say that attempts to manipulate elections have been part and parcel of elections in most African countries. So that is a fact that we have to accept. Of course, in some countries, they do try as much as they can to limit the extent of that kind of manipulation. Second, the issue you raised about appointments also is a sore point in the constitution of the electoral commissions in Africa, where a government or a president or whoever has the appointing authority decides to put people who are suspect by political parties as having alliance with the government or affiliation with the incumbent party. That also raises a lot of questions about that, and many others. And so when all this add up, then it gives room for people to speculate. There's possibility of authorities' decision to perhaps manipulate the process. The third thing I also want to make is that the third point. Yes, electoral manipulation is global, by the way. Even in the United States, we are hearing of the Americans complaining already that the Russians are trying to manipulate it. The point is that electronically, you can be anywhere, and you have the capacity, you can manipulate. So all these things are real in elections these days. So I think whenever a party has a legitimate reason to believe that attempts are being made to manipulate, they have every right to raise concerns. And then the Electoral Commission must respond to that. So specifically to our country, I know that there have been so many precedents that can create that kind of perception. One, the change of the previous chairperson of the commission was a sore point. I think personally, the way the Charlotte was replaced, I think was a little bit very strange to me.
I don't understand. Please explain. What do you mean by very strange? You are too experienced to be using very strange. What do you mean, sir?
Oh, the strangeness for me is how easy it was. I didn't know that was that simple for a commissioner of such a body to be so replaced when one individual submits a protest, a petition, and with that one individual's petition, you can simply pass it on to the presidency, and the president becomes a conveying belt and puts it on to the Supreme Court or the Chief Justice, and they rule and say, yes, it's very simple. So you see, it gives room for others to come in and do the same if they don't like the one, the incumbent. So that's why I say it was kind of strange to me. There must be a better way of deciding that a particular commission is incapable or he has violated the rules or something like that by simply receiving a petition from an individual. And based upon that, displacing such an important person in our democratic process, I think was strange. Okay. So all I'm saying is that if the one party feels strongly that there is something that they have to be concerned about, all they have to do what the Electoral Commission has to do is to engage them and find a way. So if one party says we need an audit, of course they can respond, maybe they think there's no need. But so far as that concern is there, I think there must be an amicable way for the parties to sit around and find the best way out. Because ultimately, all of us are interested in having a very successful, credible, and legitimate election so that there will be no post-election problems for us.
Now, I think the point of all this conversation is that the NDC is calling for an audit, a complete audit of the register. And so it means that all the parties will need to sit down based on what has been found out. You look at what you have, you are able to verify it based on, in real time, who is available where, and whether that matches with where the initial registration was done, and when a new name came into the register, and that also has to be audited. What do you make of that?
You see, as I think one of the speakers said earlier, the whole idea, or I think Dr. Bosmasar himself said, the whole idea of exhibiting the register is exactly to arrest such situations where the registrations, there's a faulty one or somebody's deliberately attempting to put in some names, dead people and all that. So that's an opportunity for all parties to examine it. Now, once it is done, I think people should be satisfied. Nonetheless, if there is still strong reasons why people suspect that there's more to that, and if time permits, I don't see why the commission cannot say, okay, let's get the KPMG people coming, especially if you strongly believe that there is nothing deliberately untoward. They will discover that maybe even if there are errors, they were human errors, and people will be satisfied. So personally, I don't see any reason to refuse that request, because it is important for all the parties to go into this race fully confident that the process is legitimate, it is credible. I know that. Then also the point made by the last speaker referring to a previous letter or a message by the former president regarding how opposition people treat electoral commissions. Again, that brings to me the problem we have in the country. And I say this without any prejudice to anyone. Look, it has been the nature of our politics for every opposition party to dislike the incumbent commission. It has been a practice. And that is not fair for people who are appointed to be members of the commission. So it happened at that time, one of the NPP was in opposition. They ridiculed the Electoral Commission, said so many things that shouldn't have been said. So if now they are in government, the opposition is raising the same concern, then this politics of tit for tat and needless suspicions persist. So again, I don't know exactly how we'll resolve that, but I think that if we were to have a way of selecting our electoral commissioners and their chairperson independently of the executive, that could go a long way. You see,
how?
If you examine electoral commissions,
how should we do that? Do we need a special body, etc.?
Is the appointment, that is the issue. The body is the body. It's the electoral commission. The appointing authority, I think, is an issue here. How do we appoint them? It's the executive, the incumbent president, who appoints. All right? In many countries, there are different ways of appointing them outside the executive branch. And I think we can examine that. Because if you take the appointment away from the executive, then it gives a certain level of confidence of all the parties in the commission. So I think maybe this is what we may be looking at, because so far, since 1992, no opposition party has been very happy with the electoral commission who has been appointed.
Yeah, that's true.
The previous government. Yeah.
All right. I remember the days of Transparency International. That's when they came into Ghana, I don't know, 99, 2000, or 2001. And I used to interview very well Yabuabin Asamoah. And of course, he became a mainstream politician. So, but he's now here representing the Movement for Change and the Alliance. Lawyer Yabuabin Asamoah, thank you for joining us. I think the issue at the heart of the matter is, as we progress, the call for audit, etc., per your experience on the governance side, on the political side, on the opposition side, and on the party in government, and then back to the opposition side, you should say that or not, there's some truism and concerns being raised, evidentially, not only by the NDC, by a number of civil society actors, about how there's no trust in the Electoral Commission. Two, this updated register has a problem, and so we need to take a real look at it.
Roland, thank you very much. Let me say a belated good morning to the program since I'm late. Sorry for being late. First of all, I think it's important that we realize that the Electoral Commission itself should appreciate the power it has. The Electoral Commission has a lot of power, according to the Constitution. And it is that power that's supposed to make it independent of everybody else. So at this point in time, anytime we are going to an election, based on what you're asking me over the years, my experience and all that, what I sense is that the Electoral Commission becomes virtually a government.
They are God unto themselves?
A government. An interim government. Because at this time, the government is a lame duck.
Which government?
The incumbent is a lame duck. 3 months to elections, the whole thing has descended on the Electoral Commission.
You mean they've checked out?
No, they haven't checked out. I'm saying that the Electoral Commission is in charge of a process that may replace the government. The Electoral Commission is the only one who has the key to an established and accepted process where governments can be changed. So at this time, the expectation of delivering that promise, those who expect the government to be changed, those who hope that the government will stay, those who believe that new things must happen, all those expectations are on how the Electoral Commission performs its duty of enabling anybody of those hopes to believe that credibly those hopes have been realized. Whether you achieve what you want or not, you accept that the EC did the right thing. So the onus of making sure the electoral register is right doesn't depend on the individual voter. It depends on the Electoral Commission.
Because that's what Mr. Jeffy is saying.
The Electoral Commissioner,
they exhibit it.
Yeah,
we all seem to say they exhibit it.
That stress test is not working.
Why is it not working?
Because it depends on me coming back to you. Once I take the card, the incentive to come back to you is very limited. The law says compile the register. It doesn't say that after putting my name in it, I must come back every day to confirm that my name is in it. It is your job after putting my name in it to make sure my name stays in it and I'm relevant. The law says conduct the election. Once you compile the register and my name is in there, you conduct an election, I expect my name to remain in there. So if you say you exhibited it over the years, has the exhibition produced what it does? As a stress test of the quality of the election, it has failed. Why? Because people don't even bother to go back. People don't bother to go back. And when recently they introduced this process of electronic checking, many people tried and it failed. You would attempt over and over, and because as soon as you try 2-3 times it doesn't go through, you give up. Okay? For the few who tried and the information was wrong, the means of changing the information is very difficult. Now, for example, that the exhibition period has closed. Assuming somebody decides, oh, let me go and try this. Look, something personal, very funny, happened to me. On the last day of checking, somehow I just decided that let me go and check this. And I advised somebody else, oh, go and check, because he kept saying that he was using the electronic thing and it wasn't happening. He went there, his name was not in the register. Wow. Really? Somebody who has been voting
recently.
On the last day of checking, I prompted him. He went there. He has a card. He's voted.
So how did you prompt him? Based on experience that the name could get missing?
On the last day, it just occurred to me that why don't I?
It's not based on your experience.
No, I've never had a situation where my name was not in the register. I just felt that once there was an opportunity, this is the last day for exhibition. Why don't I go and check this? So I went to check. But on my way to check, I told him to, if you are going to work, just pass by the place and check. He did. He didn't find his name in the register. I did. My name was there. So on that day, what does he do? That's the last day of exhibition. What I'm saying is that that stress testing is failing us. The Electoral Commission has to have a more robust and dynamic way of ensuring that our names remain on the register. How do you protest against an officer who mistransfers. The NDC found some funny transfers and otherwise. What about the other individuals? Not an organized group like the NDC, but the other individuals. So
including your party,
more, including my man. We demand more of the Electoral Commission than the established ways, and then the lack of responsiveness.
Mr. Yabuabia, not too long ago, you were director of communication for the MPP, and you were defending these incessantly.
No. My position has always been that it is not the duty of the government to defend the EC. You can go back across my pronouncements. I have never, ever explicitly come out to defend the EC. As a governance
but person, indirectly
I believe that over 8 elections, we have done reasonably well. We are still a democracy. We still vote. But there's been stress. We've had to go to court several times. There have been stresses. And the question of distrust persists. So at this stage, it's not about whether you defended them before or not. The point is that, is the EC capable of accommodating the new trends in politics? Because even this politics we are dealing with now, whether defending them or not, is based on the large parties, duopoly. When one party is in power, the other is in opposition, then the opposition believes that the EC is wrong. When the other party is in opposition, they believe the EC is wrong. What about the new trends? What about the other parties? What about the new movements who are coming? Is the EC equipped to deal with those dangers and threats? Now look, there's something going on. Does the EC itself control its data?
I don't understand.
For me,
you tell me.
Part of the problem they have is that the data management is not in sync. Because from STL days, STL used to control the data. STL, we got rid of STL. Now, who controls the data? The EC itself doesn't control the data. The EC has a private entity controlling the entire data. Now, at certain points in time, officers are allowed access to the data. Question, how is it synchronized and synced in? Are the officers with the data in real time? Are they getting effective engagement? Are they getting effective, synchronization with those who control the data? So do we have a situation where officers are inputting data, but the data is not being processed into the larger overall database the way it should? So that you have a situation where names are changing and chopping, but the actual database doesn't respond to the changes that EC staff are making. So are EC staff really in charge of the data? And are they able to influence the data compilation the way they ought to?
I think what Mr. Yabuabia Samoa is very instrumental, and it seems to sync with what you, the PNC, etc., have been raising all this while. And it also dovetails into the issue of whether there's trust for the Electoral Commission. You know, the last round, there was 8 people who were killed, massive violence in a number of the polling stations, even though scantily. And in the last Afrobarometer report, it did indicate that trust for the Electoral Commission was at its lowest, 37% by the citizenry, of course, in various categories as well. So how then do we make sure there's trust? What should be the benchmarks before because we barely have 3 months of this election?
So I think the trust issue is completely answered this way. You see, I have always maintained, and the MPP will reject this. Look, just take a look and go through the Ejapadia document again. Why do I say so? You have a president who does not have self-restraint, to the point that he decides to appoint non-MPP operatives into the electoral management body.
Well, the defense is that he's qualified.
You see, the Bible has a way of putting it. He said, something may appear lawful, but ask yourself, right-thinking people, how would they see this one? If you have a situation where the person who represented Akufo-Addo at the Regional Coalition Center in Bono region is now made a commissioner. So Accra House of Folk, known supporter, is now made the referee in a game between House of Folk and Kotoko. And you say it is lawful. It is not the lawfulness. It is how sensible it is.
They say he's qualified.
It is how sensible it is. How sensible is the appointment of Epiahene? That is the question. But you see, it is not only Apiahene. The Electoral Commission recruited 2 IT consultants, namely Dr. Yao Ofori Ejei and Mr. Yao Kwachi.
What's wrong with them?
I'm coming. Mr. Yao Kwachi's father is Wafa Yao Amfo Kwachi, a known MPP operative. In fact, he used to manage Akufo-Addo. You directly appoint and recruit the son. In fact, if you go to the Electoral Commission office, just opposite the cathedral, he basically works there every day as an IT consultant to the Electoral Commission.
But in Ghana, everybody is related to somebody else.
No, this is not just a relation. I am talking about Yao Kwachi. Everybody knows who Yao Kwachi's father is. And so, you see, the things that we are talking about, these are not matters that, you see, we just wake up and just make this claim. No. And you see, my brother said, John Mahama in the past raised...
You have 2 minutes, please wrap up for me.
John Mahama in the past raised an issue about how the Electoral Commission... You see, in 2016, I recall, Samuel Uku, in fact, I sent you the video, Samuel Uku, and the issues he raised about the EC then. I recall Kennedy Paul and how he described the EC chairperson then. I do not want to go there. I am saying that the matter that we are facing, beyond the personalities, we have seen that the existing protocols for cleaning up the register do not have quality assurance. And so if you rely on those existing protocols like exhibition among others, it has demonstrated that it will fail. And you know the reason why I say this is this. Listen.
Let me go to Mr. Jemfi, please. Your time is up.
If you have a situation where an EC official can transfer people from Tamale to Pusiga without going through the protocol, I gave you how an MPP parliamentary candidate had his name transferred from Ayawaso Central to Awen outside the transfer period. These are serious matters. I have given you evidence. It is no conjecture. I am saying that you have a situation where an MPP parliamentary candidate had his name transferred. Which Electoral Commission official did that transfer?
You made the point.
These are very serious matters.
How do we resolve it? Because at least we need trust. The Afrobarometer says it's the lowest so far.
I will again reiterate what my senior Honorable Boabin just said, that as MPP government, I am not here to defend the EC. Let me make that point. But sometimes statements that are made by political actors also affect the perception with respect to credibility to the EC. Such, my brother just made an emphatic statement that because the son of a known MPP man has been appointed, then it clearly indicates that that person is going to work for the New Patriotic Party.
I did ask the question. Everybody is related to somebody. So.
I think so. It goes back to what Professor disagreed with me when I said that it appears that when you are finding ways to conscientize your people that you are going to lose an election, so that you have an alibi to say that the EC was actually against me. This is not to say.
So it's the same thing you did in 2016. I'm going by what the former president said. On the 2016, we believe that yes, because the president said that the EC in July, when we were raising concerns, he was emphatic that EC is. And I'm saying that you are saying that. So you also wanted to provide an alibi just in case there was a loss in 2016. Was that the objective?
No, our grievances resulted in the polls. When we went to the elections, we won convincingly over 1 million.
But their grievances cannot result in an outcome.
It can.
So what are you saying?
In an unlikely event, it can. can't. But what I'm saying is that if you want to raise issues pertaining to your electoral fortunes, you don't resort to name calling. You don't resort to.
But Mr. Gyamfi, how do you call this? Where we have known people who communicate for the governing party. You have people closely related. You have assurances by the Electoral Commission that our gadgets that we use in collecting biometric data, that could be biometric data for NDC supporters, Movement for Change supporters, MPP supporters, PNC supporters, are found in the hands of miscreants at Tiptoe Lane or wherever they are found. You don't think that creates a mistrust and distrust for the Electoral Commission just 2 months down the lane?
When these issues came up, what has been the response of the EC? We have to look into this issue objectively. What has been the response of EC? I just read to you what Dr. Bosman Asari said, that the main sole prerogative of the exhibit is for us to identify anomalies and for it to be rectified. He also assured us that, of course, we know we are not kids. We know that these exhibitions are provisional register, and for them to prune and to make sure that this is a sacrosanct document, it will be provided for to all political parties to then ensure that indeed these concerns that we raise prior to you putting all the data together has been rectified. So why are we jumping the ship? We've raised concerns. They've responded to us that yes, especially the Pusiga issue that you mentioned, the Electoral Commission has responded to it, that yes, there were anomalies. The Ejumaku SCM, they've responded to it. If there are anomalies, that is the reason why we do this exhibit, to make sure that these anomalies have been pruned. So what I'm saying is that you don't need to subject the EC to name calling. You don't need to make statements that again will impede on the integrity of the Electoral Commission. Because if you are then going to make these statements, then you must as well withdraw, because you know that the EC is going to be biased towards you anyway. But that is not why we are here.
Professor Bafo Ajimandria, in 4 minutes, how do we deal with this mistrust? Because clearly it is there, but actions also seem to have premised this level of mistrust. Just 87 days to the election.
Well, it's a tough issue, but I can say that without trust and confidence in the body, we're going to have these kinds of conflicts all the time. There could be some immediate measures we can take to try to build the confidence of the parties, and there should be some long-term that could be thinking seriously and reviewing the appointing structures of the electoral commissioners. But then for the next few months that we have, I think the EC should try as much as is possible within its own rules and the laws that we have to be as open as possible with the political parties. I currently am not sure about the effectiveness of the IPAD, where all of them can meet and discuss things openly and frankly. Because frankly, if we go into these elections with such deep-seated dislike or mistrust of the commission, then I think we will really be hitting some heavy rocks as we go on. So I think the EC, is doing what it can, but maybe it's not good enough. I don't see any reason why a body working in the interest of the public, and the Republic, I should say, should not open up. There should be nothing to hide. Even though it has the power to be independent, we know that somebody has referred to that. But when it comes to these matters, and you have nothing to hide,
okay.
In fact, even including the request for the audit, I will have no problem with that. If the PwC can do it in a matter of weeks, why not? But at the same time, as I can accept that, it's also important for the parties to be mindful of the situation we are in, and they should not bring up issues that may not have what we call
Professor Bafo Ajimandria, I don't understand. You are saying that all these evidential proofs, they should just let it slide?
No.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying that the commission should be as open, transparent as possible. And I'm saying, even if it is possible within the period we have, the demand for auditing the register should be met, because this is crucial to ensure peace as we go along. Then the third thing I said is also to caution the political parties not to unduly stress the commission with frivolous accusations and allegations. Because like somebody just said, that tends to create and intensify the perception that the EC is up to something. So,
Professor Bafo-Adjumadu, are you saying that these pictures and these anomalies are frivolous, or I don't understand, or you are just saying that?
No, I'm not saying that.
So what are you saying? Is it like
considered to the demand for the audit?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm also saying, what I'm saying is that the parties should also be careful and cautious about the kinds of allegations they put in the public domain.
All right. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I think
because look, there's a saying that you can give a dog a bad name and hang it. So by continuously and persistently accusing the commission of this and that, you move from one accusation to another, then clearly you are creating that kind of public perception for the commission, which is not good for us. So whilst I am insisting that the commission should be as open, as transparent as possible, including even the demand for audit, okay, if the nation has to pay PwC or whatever company can do it quickly, why not? To bring confidence in the process. That's what I'm saying.
All right.
Because, look,
you are not being emphatic. That's why I kept asking you those questions. But,
am I emphatic now?
Well, I think the audience will decide. Please, just hold on for me on that. Now, let me just give you 4 minutes to wrap up on this.
I think it's the Commission's duty to ensure that we have a credible register. You can't bring in another third party now. The bottom line is that the register is a source of confidence for everybody. Now, it does two things. One, it enables candidates to participate in the election. Individuals who want to participate in this election have to bring people who are credibly registered to certify that they are entitled to. If the register is faulty, then whose fault is it if somebody files and their documents go wrong? So that one, it is the Electoral Commissioner's duty to make sure that once somebody files with a card that was issued by the Electoral Commission, a valid card, then that person is right. Because whatever has gone wrong is the duty of the EC. The other thing is that, the same way I'm saying it, if somebody produces at a voting point a prima facie situation that I am holding a card issued in 2020 and thereafter by the Electoral Commission with these features, we all have cards dating back to 2020 when during the COVID era, the entire thing, and after that there have been limited registrations. If I'm holding that card, it is the duty of the EC, irrespective of where I am voting and irrespective of where they put my name or my data or my picture or whatever, to allow me to vote when I appear. Yes.
Even though your name is not on the register.
But who put my name on the register? It's not the Electoral Commission. Who is supposed to keep my name on the register?
Electoral Commission.
Am I the one who is supposed to keep my name on the register?
You're right.
The Electoral Commission should make sure my name is on the register every time, all the time. It is not my duty to go back to the Electoral Commission and make sure my name is on the register. It is the duty of the Electoral Commissioner to keep my name on the register where I registered and where I am going to vote. So when I turn up to vote and I'm holding a card that the Electoral Commissioner issued to me, at all costs, I must be entitled to vote.
Okay.
That is my posture. Now, at this time, it will be counterproductive. It will be useless to bring in somebody else to audit, unless the Electoral Commission itself internally decides on the way forward, whether it's going to allow its staff to manage the database or to continue to outsource the database. Because I think the problem is from the interface. When somebody else is looking after the information, and others are inputting new information into the system, it creates problems. For me, that is where the difficulty for the Electoral Commission.
Who told you that? Somebody in the Electoral Commission?
Oh, but ask them right now.
I'm asking you.
The data management is outsourced.
Yeah,
for a fact.
We all know for a fact. I'm saying that because you have been on the other side before, do you know that? So you asked somebody and they told you that there's a problem due to...
No, I'm telling you, I'm deducing that if I'm not in control of something and I'm trying to affect that thing.
So it's a deduction you're making?
Yeah. If I'm not in charge of something and I'm trying to influence that thing, obviously now matters could come up that are within without my...
we are seeing metals in our water bodies
my authority to
excessively now. The water is milky. So should the president declare state of emergency for Galamsey and its effect?
Do we have a leader?
Yes. There's a president, there's a vice president, and a cabinet, a team of ministers.
So if they do it now, what would they do tomorrow? Is that the case? Look, you see, people are elected to solve problems. We have a situation where today we have gone beyond the state of emergency. Look, I traveled from Accra through Cape Coast, right through Takoradi, Takwa, Apiache, right to Sefi, right by the roadside. In fact, before you get to Wasa Kropong, just by the roadside, people are mining and destroying water bodies. Bamia is campaigning. He's been to that place. He has seen it. He goes with a convoy of police officers. Ghana has over 40,000 police officers, 13,000 military officers. The president is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. He's seeing the distraction. But you see again, Mampam, see no evil, hear no evil. Look, the Fourth Estate has just done a publication. The Akufo-Addo appointed mayor for Kumasi, the former MPP regional secretary, has set up a company, Sam and Jan, and they have applied for license to go and mine in a forest reserve. That is the level of impunity. And you want what? This is a man who said he's put his presidency on the line. And after putting your presidency on the line, the situation has become worse. I've always maintained that the current Galamsey problem is like the drug trade in the 1980s into early 2000. How did we solve it? How were we able to bring it here? It's a very simple matter. There is the need urgently that all forms of mining near water bodies ought to be banned immediately.
Immediately?
Immediately. In fact, Dr. Mahmoud Bamia and Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, they have about 80-something days more. That 80-something days more is enough, period, to effect change. You cannot tell me as a presidential candidate that if I solve the problem now, what would I do? No. Should we die before? I beg your pardon.
Mr. Jeffrey, what's the refrain and the decision being made on the corridors of power? And it's also good that you're a member of the DMB 2024 It Is Possible campaign.
On a lighter note, I think that the energy that my brother has exhibited here, talking about Galamsey, I hope that his party will use that same energy, go back to the pit where they are encouraging young people to continue to do this abhorrent task of destroying our water bodies and causing a lot of havoc in our rural areas, to campaign against such act. We all know that this is a criminal activity, no matter how you look at it. But it is very complicated, and I think that this.
How complicated?
It is complicated because subsequent government, in fact, the NDC has shown us that the fight, Galamsey fight, cannot be won. In fact, when President John Mahama set up that interministerial committee to fight Galamsey back in 2013, I think we have Ms. Hannah Tete, the Honorable Wayongo, Fusaini, and all that. Yeah, Ayariga was the, I think, the environmental minister or something like that. Yeah, Ayariga then told Ghanaians in 2016 that we must accept that indeed the fight against Galamsey has been a failure. He's on record to have said that. But interestingly, what worries me, and you as the media person, does it not surprise you, or have you questioned why is it that Galamsey always appears when there's an election?
I don't understand.
And one of your colleagues, K. Bedu, a columnist at Ghana Web, he actually quoted Dr. Abdul Gafaru, who's a lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. And he said, as electoral competition has become, and this is in 2017, has become more intense, the Galamsey discourse has become increasingly partisan in nature. Opposition parties often bolster the position of illegal miners in order to make those in power unpopular and gain partisan political advantage. So I'm saying to my brother, with the vigor, the power which he has demonstrated on national television, I hope that the NDC will use that same energy and power and vigor to go back to these pits. Because you see, you and I agree that this is a criminal offense. And anybody who indulge himself or herself in this activity should be faced by the full rigors of the law. We agree that. But we are saying that we shouldn't be ostriches. We shouldn't bury our heads in the sand. You sit on national TV and proclaim that the government should put a stop to all mining, legal and illegally, just because it's an election time. Whereas the same time, you are there in the pits telling the young men and the young women that MPP has initiated these operations to stop you from your livelihood, encouraging the young men and young women to indulge in such illegal acts. Then you come and sit in Accra and then blame the presidency. You see, as I said, this issue of Galamsey should be very non-partisan. We have to be objective about it. We have fought and we are continuing to fight it. But it becomes very difficult when the same people who come to Accra to advocate as if we are not doing anything, then goes back to the pit to encourage young people to indulge themselves in that. Before I land, Roland, it is also very unfortunate and very disappointing for somebody who is seeking to lead this country, when it comes to the fight of Galamsey, assure those who has been legally imprisoned, legally, because they were caught in the act of Galamsey, had been imprisoned, to reassure them that when you come to power, irrespective of the fact that you've gone through the processes and you've been jailed legally, I am going to grant you amnesty. What are you telling the public?
It's working free.
Oh, please,
I'm talking about Galamsey, and I didn't interrupt you one bit. But what I'm saying is that if we want to discuss Galamsey, we have to do that non-partisanly, objectively, and then we can have discussion. So
what's the essence of leadership?
No, he says that it should be non-partisan.
What is the essence of leadership?
Professor Banfo Ajimandua, in 3 minutes,
Richard,
is it now the time to declare a state of emergency? Because clearly, I mean, it didn't start in this regime. We are seeing more water bodies, more tributaries of main rivers, etc., being affected. More communities now being affected, and despite a national program that was launched, it looks like we have lost the fight. Do we need a state of emergency on this to deal with this?
Absolutely, and it should be immediate. Not only that, I'll go further to say we should also suspend licensing companies to go and mine the country for at least a year, for us to have a sober reflection on how we manage our natural resources. This is a major issue. This is an existential threat to the nation when all our big rivers have been turned into mud. And I at times, I'm stunned by the loud silence of the president on this matter. For the past several weeks, all the headlines, radio, newspapers, social media has been on this matter. I drove from Kumasi yesterday, and on the way, I saw excavators, people literally doing this. In Konongo, now they put some iron cheese to prevent motorists from seeing that they can easily fall into the pit, just in the town. And you wonder if you have leaders in this country, both on the national level and the local level. I don't know whether MCs and chiefs...
Professor Ajimandua, do you think that with all your experiences, having lived in Ghana and the rest of Africa, we are now in a period of martial law?
Not talking about martial law. No, not at all. We just have to declare this an emergency. We have to declare state of emergency in areas where these Galamseyers are doing their work. we need to stop it. And you see, it seems like the state has become so weak, it cannot even simply enforce. Look, there have been soldiers who were recruited and deployed in these areas. They were burning excavators. And what happened? So I think we have a serious national issue. And I'll plead with the political parties. I'll plead with the two dominant parties. Like somebody saying, you polluted the water more than we are doing or we have done. Don't go back. Let's put our minds together as a people. Because what is happening is not affecting NDC alone or NPP, it's affecting the whole nation. And more important, the future generation of this country.
Okay.
If we kill these water bodies, where are they going to have their survival?
Right.
So I think we should declare a state of emergency on this by first banning. Okay.
All right. Are you close? Are you close to the president?
Close in what way?
Why don't you call him and tell him?
Does he listen to him?
Just call the president. I know you are close to him, so just call him.
If I had his number, I wouldn't mind, but I'm sure all these comments we are making get to him. What is the use of intelligence in the country? I'm sure the intelligence people are monitoring all these commentaries, and they should submit, and the president is not deaf, I believe. And he's not blind when he goes across, whether it's in the air or on the road. He sees that, and he knows that some of his own party stalwarts are directly involved.
Yeah.
And the same side, NDC, they have their own people also digging the gold. Galamsey. Yeah. These two parties are culpable, but this is not the time to put blame on this or the other party, because this is a national issue, an issue of major significance for our future well-being. So I think if we are really serious about preserving this country for the future generation, old people like us, I guess, I don't know, maybe on our last legs, but we have to think of our children. We cannot kill the water bodies. It's a shame. And the inaction of government on this, in the midst of an upswell of public concern on this matter, stands me. It really stands me. So yes, first we should ban him. We can ban, but I think a moratorium should be placed on licensing. We should ban it. But more important, we should seriously consider a new way of managing our natural resources.
Okay.
It's serious. Yeah.
Lawyer Boabian Samoa, it's only your name that hasn't come up. I mean, literally, just in a very in a jovial way. But certainly, we all know that these individuals that have been mentioned, we've interacted with them one way or the other. You know them in your own conversations. I mean, we have to be realistic. I mean, where we are currently, a state of emergency is needed.
Well, we've been mining gold in Ghana for over 600 years. This has become a problem in the last 20 years when we decided that we were going to liberalize the regime and allow small-scale Ghanaians to benefit from the regime because large companies were taking this away. Now, the difficulty we have now is that that small-scale space has been taken over by politicians. So there's impunity. That's the bottom line. If you establish a state of emergency which is going to be managed by politicians, it will fail. If you ban small-scale mining, you have to use politicians to use enforcement to make sure that the ban is effective. It will fail. So now the question is that I like what Professor said about the loud silence of the president. What is happening? We know, you've asked me, we know that it is politically induced. Go to MCs who are crying deep in their hearts because they cannot stop what is happening in their backyards, right behind the assemblies, because politicians are behind the young people. You're talking, Mr. Jenfi is talking about young people doing criminal acts. Can they afford excavators from China? Those young people, can they afford? They are just victims. Exactly. Those young people are victims. The people who buy the excavators from China and import Chinese and bring the excavators through Temaport and drive them into the bush and take the concessions under the noses of the chiefs and the district assembly, they are politicians. They are powerful politicians. Until we remove the political influence, it's going nowhere. The fight will go nowhere. So the president must be bold. Those politicians who are involved should declare themselves, or the president should smoke them out. There are many reports showing politicians involved. Until action is taken against those politicians, until those politicians are taken out of the forests, until those politicians are moved away from the river bodies, nobody can enforce anything against them. Because you go into the bush, you'll be told.
So we're living in the Banana Republic?
Where we are now, we need decisive political action. And the people of the country can demand it. So what is happening? What is going on with the demand for a state of emergency from the people? It is a signal to the president that the people now want action. The president must heed the people's call. Otherwise, the people's intervention will get out of hand. It will not be controllable anymore. Where we are now, look, people just waiting to take as much as they can before they leave power. And for those who are waiting to come into power to also just come in and walk in and take it because there's nothing else nobody can do against them. Until we have political action, until we expose the politicians behind the Galamsey, until we all admit and accept, including the president, including the minister of lands, that they are the most culpable, we are going nowhere. The politicians must be dealt with. They are the ones behind the Galamsey.
Do you think it's taking a posture of see evil, do no evil?
What should he do now? He should take action.
All right.
Because he can't pretend it's not happening. And
All
he knows it's happening, and he knows the people who are involved. If he feels he can't take action against those people, then he's actually abdicating his responsibility. Then indeed what he said about putting his office on the line is true. Then literally he must resign. He knows the people. If he can't deal with the people, he should resign for somebody else.
Thank you for this.
Roland, have you seen the Western Regional Minister?
This contribution. Thank you very much.
The chairman of RECSEC.
And then also
encouraging Galamseyers. What has the president done?
Thank you very much. Thank you for passing.
This man-pump behavior is not helping the Republic.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have to take you to Wale Wale. We know that there's a rerun of the internal primaries to elect a parliamentary candidate of the MPP, and this follows a court order that annulled an earlier election. And we have two individuals very much close to the presidential candidate, all involved. And so, so far, we have a certain history to that election in itself. Dr. Kabiru is one of the antagonists or protagonists in this as well. And then, of course, we have the Haji as well. And look, these are live visuals from the ground. So the police and other security personnel already, and so far, we'll just give you some interesting highlights of this constituency. So far, it's indicating a number of a growing dominance of the MPP, as well as the NDC also maintaining a significant share of the polls. But look, let's speak to Dr. Kabiri. He's one of the contestants in this rerun.
Informed about this change of venue. My expectation was that we'll have this particular election at the AstroTurf. The previous venue was changed from the Wale Wale Secondary Technical to the AstroTurf. Then, only for this morning, my agents went to the AstroTurf, and there was no sign of a linear electoral process being undertaken there. So, last minute, we were informed that the venue has been changed to this particular Pentecostal church. I think that to start with, that is not good enough. That a candidate to a contest, there will be that sudden change of venue, and that will not be communicated to us.
And our bureau chief is up there, William Evansinkum. And William, you take a look at the atmosphere before now. What does it tell you? You just spoke to Dr. Kabiri there and the other contestants as well. What can you tell us?
Parliamentary and then presidential. So, there appears to be very strong here, and we can only know what direction the next election will go after this particular one. All right, so we are coming to you live from the Wale Wale Church of Pentecost, and in the next couple of hours we should see the electoral process begin. In fact, it has delayed because there has been some level of misunderstanding, especially between Dr. Mahamatia Abdul Kabiru's team and then that of the committee. The standoff came as a result of Dr. Abdul Kabiru stating that there were certain changes that were made, but he wasn't aligned. It was this morning that, he was made known about some of these new developments. For instance, one has to do with the change of venue, because initially this particular election was supposed to have been held at the Walewale AstroTurf, which is about 3 or 4 kilometers away from where we are, but he was only told this morning that the venue for the election has changed. Then there was another development which has to do with the fact that no delegate will be allowed to enter the polling center with a mobile phone. According to his supporters, that one, is also new to him. So just a few meters from here is the Walewale Social Center, and that was where there was a little misunderstanding there. But I can tell you that, now there is calm. We are counting over hundreds of policemen who have been detailed here, and they are also going to get support from the military, who have also been stationed here, not too far away. So it's just direct opposite to where the election is taking place, and that is where the military will be. We are not going to see them enter deeper into the polling center. That is going to be the job of the police, but the military is here to also provide some level of support. If it is getting uglier, that is when perhaps we are likely to see their intervention by way of supporting the police. But for now, it has been very, very smooth. The police, like I said, we've set up a barricade. So even before you enter the main auditorium of the Pentecost Assembly, just to activate the process of going through the electoral process, that is the voting process, there are certain checks that you need to go through. One has to do with the body check, and that is exactly what we are going to see. We have a number of policemen who have been detailed here to ensure that that process is done. Then right after you've gone through the body check, you are also supposed to leave your mobile phone behind. It's also another directive that has also been given at the moment. So once you leave your mobile phone behind, then you have access. Of course, you also have to show your accreditation. That is an indicative that you have the right to vote, or you are a delegate. So that one also has to be done here. Then there is another check, snap check, before you enter the main auditorium, before you start the process. So in terms of security, I must say that it's been a top notch because of the number of processes that you have to go through. One has to go through before the delegate get a chance to go through the electoral process. We are talking about over 800 delegates from 161 polling stations and 31 electoral areas. Of course, we're also talking about Council of Elders and other patrons who also have the opportunity to vote as far as today's exercise is concerned. I have seen the two candidates here. I'm talking about Dr. Mahamatia Abdul Kabiru. He is here. And of course, I also seen the incumbent member of parliament for the Walewale constituency, who is also vying to renew her ticket. I'm talking about Hajia Lariba Zuwera Abudu. She is also here to monitor the process. So stakes are very high at this juncture. No one is leaving any stone unturned. The police want to believe that they understand, the fact that this is one of the tension-gripped elections, and for that matter, they're also not leaving any stone unturned. A layman perspective, looking at the numbers that they have detailed here, and of course, like I said earlier, with also a military reinforcement, just to also ensure that there's absolute security as far as this particular election is concerned. So far, it has been pretty smooth. We are only waiting for the process to start. Let me see if I can engage the Northern Regional Chairman of the party. In fact, he has been here and he's also here to support, the entire exercise. So Chairman, you are a key stakeholder in this particular exercise, and I want to believe that everything has been put in place to ensure sanity, free, fair, and transparent process.
Yes, as you know, the New Patriotic Party, we believe in democracy and we believe in transparency. You can see everybody here and their number, the delegates are there, everybody is there to cooperate. And at the end of the day, whatever leader they elect, we will go by it. We know that Walwale seat is for New Patriotic Party. You are going to win, big margin, not small margin.
So Dr. Kabiru was also not happy about the certain changes that were made to him, quote unquote, overnight, especially the venue for this particular election was changed without his knowledge. How are you managing this particular situation?
Oh, no problem. You know, this thing is about election committee matters. I think the election committee have made the people, the stakeholders, I think everybody has understand as the electoral process is. So you can see that we're in the rainy season. You cannot conduct the elections by when there's raining. You can see yesterday there was a heavy rain here, and today too the weather you can see there's a rainy. So at the end of the day, if the election committee decided, why not?
Dr. Kabiru said he wasn't told about he wasn't given a reason why the venue was changed.
Well, the venue is not an issue. So we are talking about the late procedure. And at the end of the day, we'll have a very peaceful election. And at the end of the day, we'll have a transparent election. That's very, very important. And you can see New Patriotic Party will go by the rules. And then at the end of the day, everything is going to be very peaceful.
All right, so that is it. So now the voting hasn't started. Like I said, the delegates are still about 50 meters away from here, sorting out the accreditation, and then they will also come here and then go through the process. Of course, I mean we also yet to get our accreditation. Nobody's saying anything to us, so we're still waiting. None of the media houses here has an accreditation. We're still waiting to get that. But what we've been told that we may not get direct access to the polling center. We are likely to be here until the voting is done, sorted, and then the winner is declared. Maybe that is probably that is what I'm getting. Will be the only time probably we'll have access to the main polling center. But for now, it is pretty smooth. Roland.
Oh, William Evans Nkum. And we know that Dr. Kabiru also works in the office of the Vice President. And as is now public knowledge, the other contestant, the incumbent also, is Haja Lariba, who also is a relation of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I don't know what Richard thinks of this, though, but I don't have the time to do a lot of introspection. Good morning to you, Aristotle, watching us from the UK. I wish you all the best for the day. And we have a couple more messages coming to you. But in the meantime, please make sure, thank you, gentlemen, step into the world. You wanted to comment? No. No gate crashing.
It looks clear that the Vice President is interested in the sister beating.
That is definitely not the case.
Richard is from
the Democratic Party and we believe in the rule of law.
But the NDC is poised to win the Walwale seat.
Oh, how? I thought that's a stronghold.
No, it's never a stronghold. We are determined to win that seat.
We are sweeping of.
Okay, so these are the two personalities. Let's just show that before we go.
And the Vice President is supporting Hajjala.
The Vice President is very indifferent when it comes to this.
So let's just show them before we go. Okay, so these are the two leading candidates. One was one-time gender minister.
Yes.
And relation of the Vice President, the presidential candidate as well. And then we have Dr. Kabiru, who works in the office of the Vice President.
Yes.
So, Richard, who is he supporting?
Don't worry.
For me,
I am just yes and no. Who is he supporting?
I am praying that the Wale will elect a very credible candidate.
So Kabiru was not credible.
All right. So this is a historical performance.
Both of them are credible.
Then up to 2016.
Kabiru is my friend.
It's unfair.
Lariba is also my friend.
Chairman Prosper says Munyinara. Okay. So next. So then we look at so this from the 2000 elections, and then we have it as well subsequently. Okay, I wish we could show the last election. 2020, this was the outcome. Let's go to the parliamentary. So Lariba Zuwera Abudu, 51%, and then Abdul Abubakar, 48%. So that's a very close election.
It's only one area that caused the NDC.
All right.
Gender.
So
we are working.
So is it possible that Dr. Mahama, if he doesn't win, Kabiru will go independent or the other?
I know this man very well. He's well versed in the MPP.
Okay, who? Dr. Bawumia?
No, Kabiru. And I believe that he will not toe that line of independence.
So he's losing, eh?
Dr. Bawumia has taken side.
Step into the world of Dewa 539 for your chance to win big with Dewa Direct and Dewa Chop Money. Now with Dewa Direct, you have to dial *446#. You pick the range of the numbers 1 to 39. You get to win 20 times, 40 times, 400 times your stake. And you win this cash every evening at 7 p.m. as well. And on Sundays, this will be won at 6 p.m. Early bets also love Dewa Chop Money at 10 a.m. You have to dial *446#. Choose again, same procedure, 1 to 39 being the range of the numbers. You win 20 times, 40 times, or 400 times your stake at dewa-nla.com, and that's the online version, so you can go online and play as well. So for customer information and clarification, you can call the number 0556259649 for the latest update. They'll interact with you and all your concerns will be addressed. Okay, everybody else, look, who sent our messages, we're grateful. And also for watching us on the stream. Imelda Nassar, good morning to you. We're taking a break. We'll be right back with the latest sports headlines.